Hi, so I've been putting on these screen protectors for over 10 years on hundreds of phones, and I always get them perfect. So I want to give you the 3 tips that I use to get the perfect screen protector on without air bubbles and also without dust particles. So you'll notice how cleanly I've put this screen protector on. There it is, just perfect. And it is the same with this. As you can see, there's no air bubbles, there's no dust particles. And, how's that possible that I can always get it right the first time, in less than a minute? And the reason is I have 3 different techniques. So first, these days, you want to get the tempered glass. And the reason why you want to get the tempered glass is because they're more rigid. And because they're more rigid, you're not going to have to, sort of align and make the sides even as you're putting it down. So, for example, the best description here is these flexible plastic ones. These cheap, thin plastic ones. You see how flexible they are. When I wiggle them, they go all around. And because of that, when you're grasping it from the side, you notice you could bulge out the middle. And that doesn't make for a very smooth way to put on a screen protector. Whereas with these tempered glass ones, they're just more rigid and solid. And so when you're aligning it and putting it down, you don't have to worry about, making it perfectly flat, because it's already perfectly flat compared to these plastic ones. So my first tip is to get these tempered glass ones. And because the tempered glass ones are now very cheap. So for example, these I got in 3 in a pack for $4, less than $4 actually. But the second tip I want to mention is you want to turn on your phone when you want to turn on the screen when you're doing it, because you have to align the edges, and every millimeter matters. So you notice here I have it on the edge, and the reason why I have it perfectly on the edge like that is it's sort of the thing where you're coloring outside the lines just by a smidge. And here, I have it perfectly outside the edge because I could see the edge as I'm putting it down. And that is what makes this whole thing straight. Because if you're off by a millimeter here, by the time you get to the bottom, you're going to be off by 2 or 3 millimeters. And that's a big difference. So keep the screen on when you're putting it down. And because when you're able to put it down faster, you're able to avoid the dust particles that might land on the phone. So that is the second tip. The third tip is actually one of the most important tips that I have. So I have the screen protector, and it's the way I clean the screen. So when I'm cleaning the screen, I have something covered over the screen. So first, the first thing I want to do is actually clean the screen protector and get the dust off of this. Because as I'm putting it on, I don't want dust from the screen protector to fall on the screen itself. So I'll clean these, and I'll clean the underside. And the way I clean the underside is to not flip it over and clean it like this, because particles are going to fall on this after I've cleaned it. You want to have it flipped over on the underside and clean it from the bottom. So you're clearing the dust off of this and keep it face down. It's very important for you to keep this face down when you're cleaning it. So there's no dust particles as you're peeling away the film. So there's no dust particles that are going to fall on the phone. So that is, one of the most common sense, most important aspects of this. Now, after you do that, you want to have something covering the phone as you're cleaning off the screen of the phone itself. So that's the other important thing, is you want to cover something, you want to cover the screen such that there's no dust that falls down on the screen as you're cleaning it. So when you're preventing dust from falling on the screen because you have this flipped over and you've cleaned off the underside, and you're covering the screen as you're placing as you're cleaning the screen itself, that minimizes the amount of dust that's able to settle on the screen of the phone when you're placing it. Now, the other tip that I have is you want to install this as an angle from top to bottom. So once you've aligned the top, you're going to angle it like this and have the phone, have the screen protector, laying down from top to bottom. You don't want to just drop it down on the phone and think you could align it perfectly, just like that. So definitely, and let me exaggerate the illustration of this. You want to smooth out the screen protector by angling it like this and starting from the top to the bottom, and squeezing out the air that way. So I've seen cases where people, I guess these other experts were saying how you would just align it and drop the whole thing down. Well, that's not going to work, because you're not going to have every perfect millimeter. You still, when you're doing it at an angle, you could still adjust it a little bit or lift it back up where, the whole screen protector isn't contacting the phone immediately. So you could still make adjustments. The whole thing is about making the little adjustments early on so that you have it perfectly aligned. But having done all 3 and 4 of those tips is how I always have my screen protectors perfectly placed. And I've been doing this for, so many years for all of my family members, so with all of their phones. And, they've always come out perfect on the first try. And the important thing is these tempered glass screen protectors are so cheap now. You could get 3 at a pack. So, you do have the 3 in case you mess up, you could start all over. You don't want to buy the super expensive ones where they're $8 or $11 for one. You want to buy these on eBay, and I'll have these links in the description area where, you get 3 for, so I got these 3 in a pack for $3.80. And let me show you, so there's 2 more. There's one here, and then the one I used for the demo. So I'll always have, these backups that I can use. But that's really it. That's really what I wanted to mention. And I hope these tips help. And please subscribe. And thank you for watching.